I'm going to walk through how to implement retry policy on RabbitMQ. And the way I want to go about doing this is basically extending off my last video where you saw I created the method to publish a message to my queue, and I just made a background service to continually consume off my queue. I want to basically show you how to essentially add a header to the message frame that's going to count retries. So you'll have something like a header retry count. It'll be set to 3 by default, or 2, or whatever you want it to be. And every time that a message fails to acknowledge back, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to say retry is equal to retry minus 1, set that new value, so the retry will be 2, and then we're going to then send that back to RabbitMQ. So how this is going to work is I want to basically, I'll show you here. So this is going to be just, again, one implementation of this, but if I go into my code here where I have some of my RabbitMQ service, I want to go ahead and make a new method to connect to a new queue. And so what I want to do is, most of it is going to be the same, not populate stream, but it's going to be the same as my code for populating my queue. With the exception, basic properties, okay. I'm going to go ahead and copy this method here, and we're going to go up and paste it there. And instead of populate queue, I called it retry, publish retry message. And what I'm going to do is essentially use my retry engine queue and exchange. And so here I have to replace the use of my retry engine exchange for my exchange declare async. So once I declare that exchange, I'm then going to build my queue. The last video I did add some some arguments on my queue declaration. In this case, I'm not going to have any custom arguments because I'm just going to basically leave it how it is as a classic queue kind of out of the box. So I'm going to change this to retry engine queue, and then I have to establish my binding of that queue to my exchange. And once I do that, then I can publish to my exchange. Okay. So this is, if you've never seen RabbitMQ client, right, you have to define the connection, you have to build the connection, you have to build or declare your exchange, you declare your queue, you bind your queue to the exchange, and then you can begin publishing or consuming from it. So that's just the standard way to connect to RabbitMQ in .NET. And what I want to do is mess with the properties. So you can see that I have a properties on here, and if I go into basic publish, you can see that I have exchange, routing key, bool for mandatory, and then I have a type of properties, and that's what we want to act on. So if I actually go, I have my persistence set to true, but I want to use a couple other things, and you can see that a couple other things I get are persistence, app ID, cluster ID. So like I can set this stuff, like if I have a specific application ID, I can set that on my message to know which application published this message. So that's handy to have. Correlation ID, you may, if you want to correlate maybe 2 different microservices together, you can do that. And what I want to get access to is this headers parameter right here. So I'm going to set a header on the message frame itself to track my retry count. So it looks like headers is a type of dictionary. What is that? Of string and then optional objects. Okay, so let's go ahead and define that outside of here. So let's just say var headers is equal to, okay, autocomplete got it for us. And so what you can do is essentially define custom headers on your RabbitMQ message. And so what I want to do is I want to just create a retry header, and I want to give it the default value of 3. And for right now, that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to say headers is equal to headers. And I do want my persistence set to true. So that should publish to my queue. The other thing I want to do as well, though, is I don't want to connect any consumer to it right now because I want to look at what the message looks like inside of RabbitMQ management UI. So let's go ahead and first set up an endpoint to be able to call this method here. So let's go ahead and go to my endpoint that I have here, and let's just create a new HTTP get endpoints, and we'll just say retry message. And whoops, again, public async task retry message, and I'm just going to await that service call for retry published retry message, and I'm just going to return OK, and that should be fine for our test anyway. I do want to oh wait, what is the, okay, I'm just going to publish. I don't think I want to publish 2 messages. I'm just going to publish 1 at this time. So I'm just going to delete my 4 and then just format that. Okay. So I'm literally just going to publish 1 message for hello world with that header. And it looks correct. Okay, let's go ahead and start this and see what happens. Again, when I publish, I don't have currently that exchange created or the queue. My code should do that for me. So I'm going to go ahead and actually go into my Swagger and go to retry message, which is the endpoint that we just added. And let's go ahead and execute that method. And you can see that it did return 200, which it always would because I'm returning an OK. But you can see that I have engine retry, and it is bound to engine retry. So it did create that, the code to declare those exchanges and queues worked. So I have my engine retry queue, which now has a 1 message ready to be consumed and acknowledged. So let's go ahead and actually just let's get this message and let's have it requeue. So let's get the message. I want to see, okay, so you can see that my properties are 2, the delivery mode is 2, which is durable, and the header, now I have my custom header for retry. So what I want to show you now is what that looks like actually on the code side of things. So let's go ahead and go back to my program.cs and let's uncomment this consumer, which is going to consume from that queue. And I do want to set a breakpoint right here. And I want to look at what that object looks like. So let's go ahead and restart this. And what should happen is we should hit that breakpoint, assuming it connects fine. Yeah, okay, so let's step over that. And let's look at the event, basic delivery event args. So you can see that the body is what we have. And that's just just an array of bytes, I believe. I'm trying to look for the basic properties. We should have headers. Okay, right there. So it looks like we have access to the headers in basic properties dot headers, and then you can iterate through the headers and find the one you need, which in my case is just the first element, or the zero element. So what I need to do is I'm just going to go and so basic properties dot headers. Okay. So I need to get access to this retry header here and either subtract 1 from retry if I succeeded, or if I don't want my message to succeed, I can subtract 1 from retry if I don't want my message to succeed. If my message, I do everything my message successfully and I acknowledge it back to RabbitMQ server, then I don't want to do anything with the retry header because the message is going to be act and then removed from the queue. So what I need to do to first establish the fact that this is going to be redelivered upon unacknowledgement, you can see that I have 0 now. What I want to do is, before I return a task completed, I want to actually throw here, and we'll do new exception, and we'll just say failed to process RabbitMQ message, and then we'll just say don't send, don't ack. All right, don't acknowledge. Okay, and now it's not going to return a task completed, which should be fine because we should now throw. So let's go ahead and restart this. We have nothing on my queue, which is good for us because now we can call the retry message, which is going to publish a message to that queue. It's immediately going to be consumed by our consumer. And let's go ahead and step through. We're going to get the message, which is hello world. We're going to log that to the console. But right here, now we're going to throw the exception and fail to process RabbitMQ message. Let's continue now. So we threw the exception, we continued. Let's go back to our queue and let's go ahead and see if it re-delivered. Okay, so it would appear that we still need to handle that bit of logic on our consumer. I guess the expectation is that when I throw and I fail to send an acknowledgement back, then we want to have the message come back to our server. And the one thing we'll have to do is, you can see that I have auto acknowledgement on, and I need that to be false because I don't want it to acknowledge in the event that this throws. So what I have to do is I might actually have to change this to use state rather than an exception. So let's actually think about this here. So the default is going to be okay, we're going to return a task completed. I believe, let me look at my service to see if I have any other, if I have an example of what a acknowledgement looks like. I forget. I had it somewhere. I forget what the manual acknowledgement looks like again. It wasn't like populate queue, auto acknowledgement. I know I have it set to false somewhere. Where did I have that set to though? Let me actually search for that, because auto act should be false. I'm going to do a search in my application for that bit of code, because I know we've done that on the channel before. So that's the only. Okay, here, let me look at how basic consume auto acknowledgement back. Basic, okay, so basic ack async. Here we go. That's what I have to do. All right. I forget. Okay. So it's on the channel. Okay, so basic ACK async, you send the delivery tag. What is multiple again? Multiple, what is that? Multiple. ACK all messages up to the delivery tag if set to true. Oh, I see. Okay, so we probably want that false. Cancellation. Okay. I believe this is what we need for what we're doing here. So, okay, so we come back. So acknowledgement here. Now we should be able to. I do need access to my channel though, which that is on. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, I declared my channel. Oh, because it's a background service, right? Okay. So now I need to change the signature here a bit of my. I need to make this an asynchronous anonymous function. So now I'm sending. It's going to tell me, okay, cancellation support. Oh, I guess I do have a stopping token I can pass in. Okay, I'll pass in my stopping token. So now I've set auto acknowledgement to false, which means that now okay, let's first test that my acknowledgements work. So what I'm expecting here is that when I publish a message to this queue, it should consume, like we just saw, an acknowledgement the same way as the auto act did. So let's go ahead and publish another retry, and let's just continue, actually. And let's go back to my queue, and this should be 0. Right, okay. Cool. So my acknowledgement is true now. It works. But now we need to say, okay, well actually, since we're doing a manual acknowledgement, if we throw here, obviously it's not going to acknowledge. But let's actually keep this as a, let's make this some kind of like, maybe how do we want to do this? Do we want to keep it as state? Let's first get a hold of that header. So var, let's say retry count is equal to basic properties, headers, and headers is a dictionary. And I know that I'm calling it retry, so we should be fine to do that. So now it's obviously going to complain about like the fact that it could be null, but in my case, for the sake of the video, right, I know it's on there, so we'll just leave it like this for simplicity. So now I have a retry count. Let me go ahead and restart this, and I just want to see that my failure to acknowledge actually is posting it back to the queue, and that my retry count getting on the header is functional. So let's go ahead and post a message here. So my retry count is 3, so that's good. I don't have to do any weird like casting to an int or anything. So now I'm going to go ahead and I threw an exception. You can see that I should have. Let's go back to my queue. Okay. So you see that I have an unacknowledged message of 1. And that's the message that we just consumed, but we failed to acknowledge. So what I need to do is basically retrieve that message again. And let's think about this here. Let's go to my RabbitMQ service, and I want to look at my publish message retry. Let's go to my queue. Mandatory. Let me look at mandatory. If set to true, the message must route to a queue. You know, I think I might want to set this to false, actually. Or, excuse me, true. Okay. I'm going to restart this. All right. So you can see that it's getting the message again. But I did throw an exception. Okay. Let me change my exception to state. And we're just going to say, like, you know, if retry count, you know, is greater than 0, then, wait a second. Oh, it's an, oh, okay. I know it's going to be an int, so it's fine. If retry count is greater than 0, otherwise acknowledge. Obviously, this is not, like, you know, useful in any actual implementation, but it's just a test of the theory of retry here. So if retry is greater than 0, I really don't want to do anything, actually. So I want to just literally just return out of here. But if it's not, so if it's equal to 0, then retry count, then I want to say So how do you actually, let's think about this. How do I reset that property? Can you override the... Because basically what I want to do is set this to be a new value. How would that work? Is equal to retry count minus 1. Would that work here? Because now I don't know if it takes that new value and sends it back. Let's try it. I don't know what's going to happen. Regardless, I'm not throwing anymore, so her like execution flow should continue. Okay, so retry count again is 3. It's now an int, so retry count is greater than 0. Basic properties, I don't see if there's any way to... Okay. So you can see it's still unacknowledged. Okay. I wonder if you have to republish it still. Like, I wonder if you have to publish the message. Like, acknowledge it, actually. Maybe we're thinking about this incorrectly. Maybe if we say, okay, either way, we're going to acknowledge it, but if it's greater than 0, we're going to acknowledge it, but then we're going to publish it again to retry. Maybe is that maybe what, because then it will push it to the first out. right? Would that let's give it a shot. I believe we'd have to do that on my channel. Basic publish async. The body would be the same. What's it giving me here? What's the this is what I want. I need the properties too. Okay. This is from my original retry. I actually want all of this. Let's just go ahead and copy this code over to, I guess, just inside of here. Okay. So now what we have is we're acknowledging it, but we're going to set this to retry count -1. So that'll be 2. Properties is going to be the same. We're going to do this on my channel. What is the exchange? Did I declare that? Exchange name. Okay. Exchange name. And what's my cancellation token? Stopping token. Okay. I don't want to return. Okay, so let's think about this here now. So now instead of, I didn't know if you could, if it would just like I didn't know if the client would handle like just publishing it back for you, but I guess you have to do it manually. So if we have a retry greater than 0 off the header, we can then acknowledge it, but then set the header to be retry -1, reset the properties, publish it again with that same body, which should be, I wonder if it's going to be, yeah, how do we, what is my body, get UTF-8, get bytes. I wonder if I have to redo that in bytes. Byte array. What is this? Byte array. I think we should be fine. Let's try it out. Let's try it out. Okay. So I believe we had an unacknowledged message, so we should consume that. Yeah. Let's go ahead and just step through. What's my retry count? Retry count is 2. Retry count is 1. 0. Now. And yeah, we look pretty good there. So retry count is great. Not now. Now we acknowledge. Now we're out. Do we acknowledge it? We should have. Unacknowledged down to 0. I think we might have something here. Let me, this is code from my previous video, but I'm going to do the message, but also just the retry count. So I'm just going to retry number. Okay. All right. Let me not have the breakpoint and stop and rerun this. Okay. So I have no unacknowledged messages in RabbitMQ, so I'm going to need to post a message. There it is. Retry 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, I guess I'm retrying it 4 times. I'd have to make it like, you know, bring that up to 1. Let's do this again. Okay. Let me post that message there. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. I think we're in good shape here. I think we're think we got something here. Retry, we'll just say like, I don't know, retry complete. Save. Restart this again. And again, we're at 0 messages. Let's retry that. And yeah, 3, 2, 1, retry complete. I think we got it. I think we got it. So you could see like the thought process here of originally, like I wasn't sure if you could well, yeah, I guess my naive assumption was that the client would handle like when you fail to send acknowledgement back. I didn't know if like the data would go back, which I guess that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I was thinking about it, kind of odd, but okay, so you do have to republish the message, but you just update the header. So this header can be whatever you want. And that's actually pretty neat. Like if you add a custom header, I don't know if there's a limit to how many custom headers you can put on a message, but if you were to add a custom header, in addition, like you could really make this very powerful, because I believe RabbitMQ is first in, first out. So when we republish, we're immediately going to reconsume that message we just published. So the retry should work pretty good. And I was expecting, I guess, to be honest, I don't really know what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be a lot more like, well, yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. I'm surprised that this worked, to be completely honest. It's pretty neat. Very, very cool. And again, this is just using the RabbitMQ client, so I'm sure there's different ways to do this. I happen to just be doing this in a background task or a background service, building my connection like that. Just creating my connection. Once I have my connection declared, I'm just doing this continuation task, which we just did a video on, but I'm doing a continuation task, and then firing off this. So I do have a task source here for the, if I want to stop my consumer, but yeah, so that's pretty neat. I like this. I'm going to do some more content related to RabbitMQ, and just try to get more in-depth with the client, and just try to make it, try to bring some more .NET scenarios with RabbitMQ. I just went through a video, how to set up a scheduler, a task scheduler using background services, and single active consumers on RabbitMQ. And here we saw we had to implement a very basic, form of retry, depending on your needs. And again, like if you want to modify this retry count, just throw the value in a database in like some kind of, settings, and there you go. You could dynamically change the retry. Same with how we did our background scheduler. You could just as easily set it up that way, and it's scalable. So pretty neat. Yeah, so that's all I got for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next one.